Hello, students of Suleiman Demirel University. It's me, Ms. Francisco here. Today is part 2 of our lesson, How to Write a Research Paper. Let's get started. Our learning objectives today is to learn about the structure of the research outline, look at the general structure of body paragraphs in 2 types of writing. Remember, we're talking about definition paper and argumentative research paper. We're going to analyze examples of outlines and body paragraphs for those 2 types of writing. Before we start with the actual lesson, I would like to explain a step-by-step writing process that can apply to any type of writing, to your academic essay, to your research paper, to your dissertation that would be very long, 40, 60 pages long dissertation, or sometimes we call it thesis. So step 1, when we get our task, we usually get an assignment from our professor. So first we need to read and understand the writing prompt from our teacher or professor. Step 2, we pre-write, prepare for our writing before we actually begin. Pre-writing can include brainstorming about the topic. You take a piece of paper, you write down your ideas, you decide about the point of view that would be applicable, or try to analyze what main parts your paper would have. Step 3, creating an outline, an actual plan for your writing piece. Outline is a structure and a skeleton of our paper, so you cannot dismiss that step. It's one of the most important ones. Next step is writing a first draft of your paper essay. Step 5 is to proofread and do mistake correction of your paragraphs, of your draft. Step 6 is optional. Sometimes you may request another person to read it for you, to read your paper. That would be called peer review. Or you may ask your teacher to proofread it for you one time and give some suggestions. That step is optional, and you can proofread yourself instead. And finally, after several drafts, you will publish your paper or turn it in. So keep in mind, steps 4, 5, and 6 can be repeated several times. You write first draft, then you write second draft, and as many as you like, as long as you have enough time to do so. So we would repeat steps 4, 5, or 4, 5, and 6 in a cycle until we have the most desirable result. Now let's talk about research paper outline. First, we start with an abstract. We have introduction paragraph, body paragraphs. There may be several body paragraphs: body paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3, conclusion, and finally, reference page. So we are not talking about, in this lesson, we're not talking about the abstract and how to write reference page. But I have highlighted the basic structure of an outline that would always repeat no matter what type of paper you're writing, if it's definition, if it's survey, if it's analytical or argumentative type of research paper. The structure would be more or less the same every time. Right here, keep in mind that number of paragraphs would also depend on how long your paper should be. Sometimes we write 1-page essay, or sometimes it can be up to 60 pages writing. So of course you would have more body paragraphs in that case. Okay. So research paper outline would change depending on the, okay, I already mentioned that it would change depending on the type of writing, and the structure would be slightly different. So let's look into more details, what each paragraph should include. So introduction paragraph includes hook sentence, background information sentences, and 1 or 2 sentences that would state your thesis statement. This is a set order of those sentences. You cannot start your introduction with a thesis statement. Okay, that would be incorrect. Instead, your thesis statement would be always at the end of your paragraph. Okay, preferable, that is a preferable order. Now, body paragraphs. You may start with a claim, evidence sentences, and reasoning sentences. Your body paragraph 1 may contain more than one piece of evidence. So let's set it as default. We should start with at least 2 pieces of evidence and 2 reasoning explanation sentences for each of those evidences, right? So evidence 1.1 and reasoning 1.1, that would be related together. Evidence 1.2 and reasoning 1.2, they would also be connected. Same for body paragraph 2. We would have another claim and another set of evidences 2.1 and evidence 2.2, and of course supporting reasoning sentences that explain each of the evidence. So again, depending on the length of your writing, you may have more paragraphs, paragraph 3, 4, 5, and so on. Your conclusion paragraph would include the following sentences. You would have 1 sentence to link your ideas to the hook. So you're just summarizing. Notice how I have the same types of highlights at the beginning and at the end. The red highlighted sentence would include restating the thesis. So it is very important that you mention again the main points of your thesis statement. You paraphrase them in different words. And you may also summarize shortly some of your claims that you have mentioned in the body paragraph. Now let's talk about specifically about definition paper only. Remember, we were using an example of perestroika topic, perestroika in Soviet Union, and based on that topic, I will model a type of outline that you may have. So again, we start with abstract. Our introduction paragraph would include a hook. I had an example written down in a previous lesson, right? The hook, for example, Oxford Dictionary definition of perestroika. Then we give some more background information about perestroika. You can include some dates, some important public figures who were part of it, like Gorbachev, and so on. And again, you finish that paragraph with a thesis statement. Here is the sentence. Perestroika is an important period in the history of USSR because it brought much needed change for the society and Soviet economy. It allowed to move from repressive Soviet regime and open up freedom of speech and new economic opportunities. That is a single thesis statement. Okay, we're just defining. So now let's take a look at body paragraphs. Our body paragraph would include topic sentence 1. As a topic sentence 1, I would discuss economic change. Same thing as in our thesis statement. We would put related evidence and reasoning sentences. We may have at least 2, right? There may be more. Body paragraph 2 would have a different topic sentence, and here we mention freedom of speech in relationship to perestroika, and again, related evidence and reasoning sentences. Okay, I'm covering up my paragraphs. So you see that paragraph 3 may have the same structure. And finally, in conclusion, we again have sentences that link us back to the definition of perestroika. We restate the thesis in different words, and maybe emphasize the importance of that historical period. And we can summarize some claims or topic sentences in short. So with the arrows, I'm showing that our thesis statement mentions both economic opportunities, and then in body paragraph 1, we will discuss economic changes, right? And with the second arrow, I guess it's not linking all the way, but we are talking about the same thing that we have mentioned in the thesis statement, freedom of speech, and our body paragraph 2 would also talk about freedom of speech. So you can see that how our it's kind of like a puzzle piece, right? Everything is connected, and the structure is very, very precise that way. Okay, now argumentative paper outline would be slightly different. Let's take a look at the differences. Remember, we are using the topic of abortions, right, as our example. So again, we start with an introduction. The hook would be our interesting and exciting fact. Did you know that 37% of women do abortions before age 45? So that's just an example. We give some more background, maybe historical information about abortions in 1 or 2 sentences. And then we conclude our introduction paragraph with this long thesis statement. Stay with me. Abortion should remain a legal option for women because the government has no right to interfere with a woman's body. Remember, we are giving our strong opinion, strong position about abortions. In this case, we are pro-choice for women and abortions. So we have no right to interfere with women's body. Illegal abortions result in far more fatalities. Many unwanted pregnancies result in economic deprivation and an ongoing cycle of poverty, despair, but most importantly, there is no conclusive evidence or argument that a fetus is equal to a human being and therefore has equal rights. So in yellow and green highlight, I have annotated some of our claims that we will unpack in each of the body paragraphs. So we would have claim 1, probably about the level of abortion fatalities here. For body paragraph 2, we can investigate economic deprivation, cycle of poverty that is related to the situations when a woman is keeping the baby that she was not able to raise. In body paragraph 3, that is only specific for argumentative writing. We would have a counterclaim. Remember, for argumentative essay, we have to analyze 2 different point of views. So one point of view, you are pro-abortion, pro-choice, but another statement is that, fetus is a human being, it feels pain, that is a different point of view. That is a pro-life point of view. So we have to state in one of the body paragraphs, we have to state a counterclaim that is opposite to your opinion. And finally, in conclusion, we link to the hook again, we restate the thesis, and we summarize our claims. There is an additional conclusion sentence. It is called call to action. In this sentence, you have to encourage the reader to make a change, to take your opinion as the right one, right? So you are encouraging people to take your side. You have to convince them. So these arrows show how we connect our thesis and our body paragraphs, that we connect our counterclaim in paragraph number 3. Okay, now let's unpack the structure of a body paragraph. Each body paragraph, what should it include? And you probably already noticed that it has same structure that repeats over and over again as many times as you need. We would start with the yellow highlighted sentence, claim or topic sentence. Purple text, we continue with evidence, and I chose not to color, just regular text. Those would be our reasoning sentences. You may repeat that cycle for evidence 2 and reasoning 2 sentences. And use more evidence if necessary. So your paragraphs can be, half a page long, or they can be even bigger than that. It depends on your objectives. It is also optional that you can connect back to the claim, summarize everything, especially if you have a lot of evidences. You might want to kind of summarize everything about those evidence in one conclusive sentence. Okay, definition essay sample body paragraph. Let's go ahead and read one example together. Again, we're talking about perestroika. This is the body paragraph. Perestroika in the Soviet Union was an uplifting period because Gorbachev opened up state economy for foreign investors. According to Komsomolskaya Pravda, dated September 11, 1983, Gorbachev announced, when we use evidence, preferably use quotation marks, we will tear down this wall and collaborate with European countries to start mutual trade. This evidence shows that the state leader emphasized the importance of trade with Western countries. And we may continue that paragraph with another set of evidence that again would appear here in purple. Another evidence suggests, you may start like that. And then we explain that evidence. We can clearly understand that, and you can continue. Okay, so again, our structure is claim in yellow highlight, evidence 1 in purple, reasoning sentence, regular unhighlighted text, and so on. Evidence 2 and reasoning 2. Okay, sorry, this is covering up my notes. Okay, so you get the idea. Now let's take a look at an example of argumentative essay. We're talking about pro-choice topic of abortions. We have taken aside, we want to keep the abortions, right? Abortion should be an option because women should not be forced to have a baby after a horrible incident such as rape. According to Daily News report about Jessica Sudgers, it is stated, I was in shock when it first happened. I suffered from PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder. And when I found out I was pregnant, it was another hit for me. I was not ready to have a child from someone I hated. End of quotations. This evidence shows that a woman suffers from deep mental issues, and her unwanted pregnancy is a constant reminder about her trauma. Another evidence suggests, you may type in another piece of evidence. Again, those should be clear facts. We can clearly understand that, and you explain what that evidence is about, right? So we are following the structure of claim, evidence, and reasoning again, right? And if we want, we repeat the cycle of evidence and reasoning sentences as many times as we need for our text. So yeah, I'm sorry about the graphic kind of example of rape, but here we have to be really convincing, right? So we are specifically talking about abortions in relationship to mental health traumas. Okay, so I hope this video was very helpful to you guys to understand what the structure of the whole paper should be, and in more specifically, what would be one building block, one body paragraph look like for those two types of writing. Now, in the next video, I want to explain what we're going to do. We will analyze some writing prompts. So I will share the whole long essay with some highlights and annotations. We will annotate a complete argumentative writing together, just argumentative, because it is one of the most spread and highly used types of research papers. And I will also share some cheat sheets for academic language. So, you know, the sentence frames that would be helpful to you to kind of get used to that type of language, because we do not normally use the academic language in everyday speech or in everyday, writing. So if you have any questions about this video or my previous video in part 1, please send me an email, practiceenglishforfree@gmail.com. And that would be all for today, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.